everyone, hope you're well and thanks so much for clicking. This rainbow eye look that I'm going to be showing you today is inspired by the Stay at Home for the NHS campaign. I'm starting as normal with eyebrows. As you can see, I've just brushed up all the hairs so I can see clearly where that baseline of the eyebrow needs to go in. Then I've drawn the underneath line in. Here you can just see that I am extending that outwards on the tail. A lot of people do have sparser hairs towards their tail of the eyebrow, so you will just need to fill that in a little bit more. I'm making sure that I'm bringing that shape outwards towards the end just to give me maximum space to work with on the eye, instead of bringing it down and closing off the eye space that we then have to work with putting on the eyeshadow. Once I've filled in that end and extended it as far as I want it to go, I'm then working on the main part of the brow, coming along the top, and then remembering just to use light feathery strokes towards the front of the brow to make sure it's a little bit more faded and lighter in that area. You can afford to use a bit more pressure towards the tail and the arch. That can be a little bit darker and it is needed to have a bit more product there because I say it's normally a sparser area. Switching to a disposable mascara wand, I am then brushing up the front with quite a bit of pressure, and then lighter pressure towards the end and the tail because we want to keep more of the darkness and the product there. Then using my P. Louise eyeshadow base in the shade 02 Rumour and my MAC 252 brush, I am carving underneath the eyebrow. Take your time with this part, it's really important to get as sharp line as possible, so take your time to make sure that that is perfect. Make sure you also have quite a bit of product on your brush. If you don't have enough, you'll find that it drags on the underneath line and you'll get a bumpy finish. So really don't be afraid to use a lot of product on this stage, especially because we're going for such a bright eye look with a lot of eyeshadow. We need to make sure that the base can handle the amount of powder that will be put on there. So we will pat this in afterwards, so don't worry about it looking quite thick and messy with a lot of product for the time being. So I switched to a MAC Duo Fibre eyeshadow brush and I'm just patting that in. You want to keep patting until you see the consistency change, so it won't be patchy and wet anymore. It will go to a semi-matte consistency, so the finish will completely change, and then you know that you're then ready to go in with your eyeshadow. If you apply your eyeshadow and this product is too wet still and you've not patted it in enough, you'll find that the eyeshadows will stick, go patchy and have a really funny colour payoff, because you'll find that it actually ends up mixing with this base because it's not set enough onto your eyes, so it will start mixing with the eyeshadow and you'll start having grey muddy tinges to your colours, when really what we want is this base to be fully set and then the eyeshadows come out really, really strong and true to colour. I'm just taking this at the top of the tail of my eyebrow as well, because I know that I want to extend the shadows out past there. So anywhere where I know that I'm going to be putting the eyeshadow, I need to make sure that the base is on underneath, because we won't be able to come and match that up with a concealer afterwards, and we don't want to see any skin underneath where it's mismatched.
Dashboard of my summer dream in Westwood, I was hoping that we'd wake up to the softest of spring mornings, humming do.
Now, to get this rainbow on the eye as precise as possible, I'm opting for a tiny brush. This is just a small pencil brush. I'm using, I believe it's called Queen from the original P. Louise eyeshadow palette. I'm packing that onto the brush and pressing that quite firmly onto the eye so it sticks to that base. I'm going backwards and forwards between the eye and the eyeshadow to keep building and packing on that colour. I'm not worrying about blending at all at this point. I am just pressing on the eyeshadow so they stick to that base. Sorry that you can't see all of this at the minute, but I promise it does get better. I was too deep in concentration trying to get this on that I didn't realise that I wasn't in shot at this point. So then I'm using that same brush, just wiping off a bit of the excess and switching to an orange shade. I'm doing exactly the same thing and just pressing that on top. I'm trying to go slightly over the red shade that I put on to start with, just so when it comes to blending it is slightly easier, but at the moment I am not moving the brush about at all. I am just pressing that on top. Now, to make a disclaimer at this point, I do not by any means think that this makeup is perfect, and if I'm being quite honest, I wasn't the happiest with it because I know that I could do this so much better on someone else, but doing it on yourself, for someone that doesn't do their own makeup as a rule, this was so difficult for me. I couldn't see where I was going, I couldn't get the blends right, I couldn't get the angles, and I couldn't see properly. This is why I don't do my own makeup. So as you can see, it's very messy for the time being, but I am just packing the colours on, and I do kind of come back to it and neaten it up and make it a bit better towards the end. But I really feel like I want to recreate this on somebody when I'm allowed to work on someone else's face, because this is completely my thing. I just can't do it on myself. So yeah, a little bit disappointed because I know what it could have been and I just couldn't get to it, but that's what I'm going to have to learn and work on using my own face, and that's how it is, unfortunately. So exactly the same thing, switching through the colours. So now to a green, and then I believe I go to a purple and a blue. When going through these colour stages, you'll see that I'm using the same brush completely throughout. I'm just wiping off the majority of the product before I move on to another shade. And then you'll see that I am going back in with the previous colour just to merge those together slightly. So I've just put on the green, but then I'm going back to the yellow and trying to just pat that over the line slightly. And then I will move on to the purple, but then I'll go back to the green to merge that slightly, and then I'll go to the blue and I'll merge it back over with the purple. So just always going back in with your previous shade to make sure that everything is still visible and all your lines are blended slightly more. I completely understand that you're probably sat there right now thinking, 1 minute, why is she doing a tutorial on this? This is not something that I'm going to be recreating on myself or have any desire to do for any occasion. But bear with me. This technique will be exactly the same for blending any eyeshadows, and if you can blend colour, then you can blend neutrals so much easier. So if you are just wanting to do a normal makeup on yourself using neutrals or slight colours, then this is the same technique that you will use to blend. You'll always have to go back with your previous colours to reintroduce them in, and patting is always the best way to blend and to build up colour as well, so it is definitely worth knowing still. At this point, this is still a work in progress, so please don't judge too much. With a fluffy eyeshadow brush, I am then taking a pink eyeshadow, and I just want to blur the edge of that red slightly and extend it out so it doesn't look like it's just been plonked onto the eye. So that's why I put the base above the tail of the eyebrow as well, just so I have the option to now bring this eyeshadow onto the temple and just upwards slightly above the brow too, just to blend it and make it all seem softer and merge together. Now just adding some lashes. These are the Eldora M103s, and just tidying up that blend on the edge. Please ignore this eye. I did this, it's completely different products that I tried on that eye. That's why I've not shown it. It did not turn out great. Just don't look at that eye. I could see that it wasn't going my way, so I gave up with it. So I didn't even attempt to start blending or anything. That's why it looks horrendous, because it just was abandoned. So now I'm moving on to MAC Feline eyeliner pencil and placing that into the waterline.
Seeds and reaping dreams, and I think that I am learning.
I didn't film all of me doing skin because I thought you've seen it quite a few times now in past videos, and I didn't want to bore you with the same information. But I did film putting the foundation on and a few bits. But if you do want to know exactly how I do this, then I will leave a link up the top right now, and you can see how I create the skin look, because it pretty much was the same. This is the MAC Studio Fix foundation in the shade NC25, and I will blend that in with my Luxe blender. I'll then use the EX1 Cosmetics 02 shade Delete Fluid Concealer and the RCMA No Colour Powder to set that, and the Revolution shade F13 foundation stick to contour with as well. Skip through a bit, but you can see that I'm at the stage where I am now dusting off the RCMA No Colour loose powder. So just taking a fluffy brush and dusting away that excess. I'll then use the MAC Cosmetics Mineralized Blush in the shade Lovejoy and my favourite highlighter, which is the Doll Beauty Shine Bright.
To be, all you need isn't far away as it seems, in the color of you, coloring all my dreams, and the soles of your feet will carry you to where you're supposed to be. Sowing seeds and reaping dreams, and I think that I am learning all about what it means to stay still long enough to feel the whole world turning. It was a cold, wild winter, you were sleeping on my shoulder. I was praying that the raging storm would stay a little longer, with your feet up on the dashboard of my summer dream in Westwood. I was hoping that we'd wake up to the softest of spring mornings, humming
Now for the finishing touches, I'm taking the green duo glue, which is the latex free one. We do also really like the Eldora lash glue as well. I'm just placing a few little dots on the edge of the eye where it starts to blend out and fade slightly, and then I am sticking a few little stars and different shape, what are these called, like sequins, like shaped glitter I suppose. Again, this is all new to me doing this on myself, and I found it really difficult to see where I was putting them, as you can see, completely in the wrong places. But I got there, it worked.
dreams, and the soles of your feet will carry you to where.
This is the point where I thought that I'd run out of my favourite lip liner, but thank God the stock cupboard saved the day. This is MAC lip liner in the shade Strip Down. So I line my lips with MAC Strip Down, and then in the centre I filled my lips in with a Primark lip pencil in the shade Biscuit, which is a lighter shade than the Strip Down. Now deciding that I didn't actually want to keep it matte, which I'm tempted by the gloss all the time at the moment, so I'm just adding an NYX Butter Gloss on top. So thanks so much for watching. This really was a challenge for me. I managed to get through just about, not 100% happy, but this is the finished look. Remember, support our NHS, stay at home, and I'll see you next time.